Celestica shares gained as much as 242% in 2024 after a great 23 as well, making it the top TSX performer this year by a long shot. For more, we're joined by Bloomberg's Stephanie Hughes. Stephanie, great to see you. So is this just pretty well mostly driven by AI for Celestica shares?
Hey, Mark, it's great to hear from you. So absolutely, yeah, a lot of that gain that you saw this year, making it the top performer, has been just a byproduct of Celestica being a big beneficiary of the AI and cloud computing boom. Celestica being a electronics components manufacturer. So in fact, there's been a lot of demand for Celestica's business from hyperscaler companies. A few examples of hyperscalers in general include these massive cloud computing companies like Google and Meta. And that's a trend that's expected to continue, just given that there's already such a big demand for data centers and cloud computing infrastructure. As well, for Celestica, this has been a year where quarterly reports have pointed to stronger than expected earnings and guidance outlooks. And that prompted most analysts to give Celestica a buy rating or an outperform rating, as well as crank up the price target there. Against that backdrop, it's also been a year for easing interest rates, which have been good for tech companies in general. So that's another tailwind working for Celestica there. All told, TSX doesn't really have as many AI-adjacent names on its index like the S&P 500, but that said, Celestica has been demonstrating itself as a strong contender for AI and cloud computing exposure for those who want to invest in Canada there, Mark.
Now, on the other side of the ledger, we've got Parex Resources. I'm just looking back at their stock chart. They were really going great guns from 2013 to 2023, where it hit an all-time high, but really been rough since then. So what's the story with Parex?
Right, so they hit a hard patch this year there, Mark, and that prompted the shares to fall over 40%. So Parex, an oil and gas exploration company, has just been plagued by production issues and cuts to its outlook. And a lot of that took place off the top of the year, where you saw these protest-driven operational setbacks in the northern Llanos region in Colombia, really weighing on its mining production. That was compounded by the Colombian president, his policy opposition towards oil development. So shares took a big hit in August in particular, just given that they cut their outlook and also had softer than expected earnings. It was around the same time that the CFO also resigned. That led to a spate of analyst downgrades and price target cuts. Now, that said, we did see shares pop a little bit today to the tune of around 7% or as much as 7%. So looks like there could be a bit of dip buying here, Mark.
Right, and we're just looking at a 10-year chart, Stephanie. Recently, Parex got right near those 2020 pandemic lows. And then Soft Choice, it's one of those TSX-listed tech companies that went public in 21. Kind of a happy ending here. It gets taken out, and there's a bit of a premium. Am I right?
Exactly. Yeah, when we always have to have one more corporate news story before we end the year, right? So yeah, Softchoice was bought by Worldwide Technology for an all-cash deal worth about $1.8 billion or $24.50 a share. So an announcement this morning, the company said that it expects outstanding shares would be delisted from the TSX once this transaction is complete. It would no longer be an issuer in other Canadian jurisdictions. Softchoice, like you mentioned, was one of those tech names listing in 2021 alongside other tech names like TELUS International and MDA Space. Recently, we had another company delist for transaction-related purposes. That was Fish Uranium after it was bought out by Paladin. So as for Softchoice, we'll keep an eye on the transaction timeline, but it looks like shares are moving up around 13% there, Mark.
All right. Thanks so much, Stephanie. Have a great new year. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Okay, Bloomberg's Stephanie Hughes. Our thanks to her as always.